is that there's the role of an activist, right? And then I feel like as an activist, it's very important to make my stance on an issue very clear and to go to bat for that as much as it might be difficult, right? And as a facilitator, I have to be a little bit more open-minded. I have to not actually just respond to people I think are putting down my issue, but actually hear that out. And then also to understand that facilitating a conversation, that I don't have any control of how that goes. I don't have any control of the outcomes, that people should have a say and autonomy of how that conversation goes. That gives me a little less pressure too, to feel right, to feel like I have to be the one that directs people to the right path. And then last, I think it's really important, it's kind of complicated, the role of the organizer. An organizer is very, very distinct, I think, for these two roles, because you actually are just responsible for getting the people who are at the impact of that issue. You're thinking about who should be at this table, informing, making decisions, X, Y, and Z, and how do we get them into the room? How do we get them? That's my biggest question as an organizer. And it's not how they show up. It's not up to me how they show up. But all that matters is that they have an experience that needs to be heard and shared in order for us to get deeper and closer to the solution that's going to solve that problem. So I just want to invite y'all to think about that when you go into these schools, whether you're from New York City or not, that people are, and what I've heard from both groups, are that people are drawing from their experiences. That's where the differences come from. Even though we're from the same hood, doesn't mean that we're going to have the same experience. And so even when we're saying the same thing, like somebody said earlier, we're coming at it in a different angle, and that's valuable. It is really, really valuable for somebody to have an original thought and come to the table about that and be brave enough to do it, even when somebody else might have a different experience and a different thought. So thank you so, so much for participating, for co-facilitating, for speaking up, for stepping back when you felt like that was necessary. And I'm really, really excited to see what y'all do for the rest of this week and beyond.